Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Ree and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset.
All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertsen, and for the first time in Herd Fit Podcast history, I do not have my co-host, Dr. and Coach Sam Ree.
Uh-oh.
I am as nervous as I was coaching my first CrossFit class back in 2012 that A, my camera's not recording, and B, the sound is not hearing us, and all this is going to be for nothing. Speaking of 2012, that is when my guest was basically in junior high.
I was definitely in junior high. I was closer to being in 8th grade, to be honest, than graduating high school at that point.
My guest is a repeat guest, 2024 Northeast finalist. I should say
Semi.
Yes, sorry. You know what? Let me say that again. Maybe I'll edit this. Next to me is a repeat guest, Joe Pierro, who is a North America East semifinalist. Joe Pierro. What's up, Joe? Thanks for joining.
Oh, baby, we're here. Man, we're about to go off on some journeys because Sam's not going to pull us back in now.
That is a very good point. Joe, you are just a few days removed from the semifinals, and I'm going to talk about the semifinals a little bit to kind of just build you up a little bit because I want everyone that's listening to truly know what an accomplishment it is to just be there. But I know that some of the emotions that you're feeling right now, good, bad, ugly, it's still very, very much in the beginning stage. Times that I've competed in the past, how I'm thinking about myself, the sport in general, 2, 3, 4 days after, as opposed to a month after, are completely different. So I want everyone to know that some of the things that you're talking about right now, it's as raw as it gets. You know, you literally just got back a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, we haven't spoke anything on it, so This is going to be as raw as it gets.
Yeah, I'm going to be learning you guys with Joe. But Joe, let's just kind of go into the beginning process, right? We all started off doing the same exact workouts, the CrossFit Open from 2024. And Joe did not have a great open because he was battling an injury. Fortunately for him, 80% of Joe or 70% of Joe is more than good enough for him to qualify for the quarterfinals, which is top 25%. From the quarterfinals, though, you are talking about thousands and thousands of men that he is competing against, and only the top 40 from North America East, all right, so that includes Canada, all right, and the eastern half of the United States, only the top 40 make it to the semifinals. This is not like the age group semifinals, which is where our gym is very biased towards, not taking anything away from any of them. We have a games athlete, Tracy McGee, who we're going to have coming up soon, talk about her training. Yep, first time in Bison history. Really proud of her for that. But also, to get to the top 40, it's not the top 200. It is a really competitive market to get to where you got to. And for those that don't really know the math, it's the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%. And Joe, this is your third one?
This is my third one. The second one, individual.
Second one, individual. So he was a team athlete, individual, then team, then individual. Did that experience, the fact that this is your third time on a big stage against some of the biggest names? I mean, I watched as much semifinals this past weekend as any semifinal, and seeing some of the names that you were up against, I mean, how does that compare now in year 3 in terms of being starstruck compared to your first year at the Granite Games?
I have a lot more experience now, yes. Am I still a fan of the sport? Yes. Is it an honor to go against these guys that I was watching 5 years ago at the big stage and now being able to throw down with them? Yes. It's a little overwhelming, and it does cause a lot of stress and anxiety because just seeing them and looking up to them and now being able to be in the mix with them, it's a totally different animal.
When does it hit you the most? Is it when you get that qualification email from CrossFit saying, hey, you're in, your videos are good to go? Or is it in the warm-up area? Or is it not until the event starts? When does it hit you? Does it hit you at all that you're competing against Jeff Adler, you're competing against Dallin Pepper, Jason Hopper, Taylor Self, some of the biggest names our sport has to offer?
It starts to hit me when you start looking at the hype. Not in the West, which was the week before, or Europe, which was the week before that. But when you start listening to the podcast and they start talking about the guys you're going against, your name gets thrown around as the guy that nobody knows. And there's a lot of pressure then there because I want to make a name for myself, right? I got pride.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Everyone does.
I want to put out my best performance, be in the mix, and take them down, right? Because we're there. We deserve to be there.
I mean, hey, you're a competitor. And I think this is, we talk about one of the most frequently talked about topics on this podcast. We're 155 episodes in, is the blend of CrossFit sport, CrossFit health, CrossFit community, but also CrossFit competitors. And I think everyone needs to understand, even if you don't fully grasp it or even respect it, that a competitive mindset is it's a lot of pride. You are trying to beat others. That is what the sport is. And I think that having that connect to, I want to go there, and hey, I'm proud of you as someone that met you at the CrossFit 908 bathroom one of the 4 times I beat you at that comp, and you were telling me someday I'm going to compete, Dave. I'm going to get there. I'm like, yeah, you and everyone else, bro.
Damn right. And right. You'll still beat my ass to this day in aerobic capacity stuff.
But this day, like, I'm really proud of you. I'm proud to watch the semifinals and say, like, I know that dude. That dude I've trained with him. I've competed with and against him. He's been at our gym multiple times. Like, I was really proud of that. But that doesn't matter to you. You're there to beat people. You have a reputation that you want to uphold. And let's touch on that a little bit before we get into some of these events is, Howard, are you feeling about your performance? And dare I even say your reputation right now? Because I'm proud of you, dude, but how do you feel about it yourself?
If I didn't hit that touch and go snatch at 265, I would be heartbroken.
Okay.
Because
we're going to talk about that.
It was a emotional roller coaster up until that point. And I'm going to keep reiterating stress and anxiety this whole freaking podcast, because I am one in life to go with the flow.
Yep.
Right? Stress and anxiety is pretty minimal.
Yep.
But out there, it's just a different animal. And with it feeling so exclusive, everything did feel so elevated.
Yeah.
Right? Last year or 2 years ago when I competed, it was 60.
Yep.
Right? A lot of people in the mix, 6 heats. Now you're down to 40, right? It felt like heat 1, the heat I was in, was like JV. And then the next 3 heats after that, heats 2, 3, and 4 felt like varsity. And it was like, crazy.
I actually was talking about that while we had it on our TV in our new lounge. All right, see that flat screen TV in there? We're making moves here.
Big baby.
We had it on and we were watching, and that came up. This actually comes up every time I watch the games. We have some people over every summer to watch, one of the night's games, and the first couple of heats, you're like, when is Vellner coming up, or when is Tia coming up? And I always say this out loud. I was like, you guys don't even grasp.
Yeah, you're over here.
How good that first heat is. We don't know anyone.
You're over here drinking your beer saying, the fuck is he doing? I could go faster than that.
Exactly. One of my favorite memes of all time watching the games. I actually took a picture of my son watching the semifinals. He fell asleep on Sunday while we were watching the last event. He had crumbs all over his chest. And I was like, that's the guy that says you should be going unbroken.
Yeah, 100%.
But, that's something that I think when you watch the sport, when you're on a broadcast like that, everyone there is the elite of the elite. But when you're there in Heat 1, the reason why you're in Heat 1 is that you're in that bottom quarter rank. You're in the bottom 10. And you're in the bottom 10 of the elite. But does that discourage you? Does that make you more hungry? Is there something that you want to express about that fact?
It's a blend of both. Definitely hunger, because you're trying to fight your way out of Heat 1, right, to then get with
the big boys,
right, the full timers.
Yep.
We'll
talk about that. Yep.
But being in Heat 1, knowing it's exclusive, this competition, it's war, right? Like we're all going to war.
Yeah. And it's CrossFit is humbling, even to the best athletes. I mean, Joe is one of the best athletes, probably the best athlete that I personally know. And but even to him, he's going to get humbled. You get humbled until you win the CrossFit Games, right? At some point, you're going to find out that you didn't win or you didn't qualify for the next stage. And, coming from someone, I've never qualified for the games. I've never qualified for a real semifinal. It's just been the Masters. And at some point in those competitions, open, quarterfinals, semifinals, you get told via your score that you're not moving on. Does that take wind out of your sail, or does it add wind into your sail?
With not moving on.
Not moving on to the games. Does that motivate you, or does that discourage you?
It's motivating. It's not, I don't even think, to be honest, that's the goal. The goal is to try to put out my best effort.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if that does take me to the games, that does. I use it as a measuring stick, right? Because as in the ranks, workouts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, I didn't do too hot in.
Right.
Workout 5, the strength.
Yeah.
I always do good in.
Let's go.
2 years ago, I did great in.
Yeah.
Last year, did great in.
Yep.
And this year, did great in.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
put a lot of work into the weaknesses, but so is everybody else, and you're trying to improve faster than the field.
Yeah.
As it gets tougher.
Which is tough. So I want to talk about that towards the end, but what I want to do right now is kind of recollect on the events themselves. We can go one by one. Some are more interesting to talk about than others. We don't need to spend a ton of time on these, and then let this conversation go where it takes us. If we kind of get sidetracked because of one of these workouts, let's do it. The first workout of the day was a workout by itself on Friday, right? 800-meter run, 10 clean and jerks, 5 rounds for time. So this was unique. When I saw this workout come out, I assumed you guys would be on air runners. But they don't really care about comparing scores region to region. It doesn't factor into anything. So they said, you know what? We're going to come up with our own running course at each respective semifinal. Sure, I'm sure they were 800 meters, but you guys, for example, had a huge hill to run up, I saw. And to do that 5 times, that means a lot. So, but everyone that you're competing against had to deal with the same thing. So that is what it is. But this was the longest endurance type test of the weekend. 800-meter run, 10 clean and jerks at 185 for the guys, 125 for the girls. Most people did singles. What was your approach going into it? I saw you train for this one a few times here at Bison. What was your mindset going in?
My mindset going in was it's a running workout, and I was completely wrong. It was a clean and jerk workout.
Interesting.
And because in my eyes, the clean and jerks were winding you,
yep.
But you had to get them done in a reasonable time, and everybody's legs were going to feel heavy off of that starting to run.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all about who could recover while you run.
Okay.
Right? I personally did not really get passed on the run. I didn't really see many people getting passed on the run besides the first round, right? When everybody's fresh.
Yep.
In workouts, not workouts, in rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 is when you go in and then you start leaving later, right? Because I was getting tired on the run, so I started slowing my clean and jerks down to try to save some energy for the run, but I just did not have it. My recovery pace was slower than the field's recovery pace run,
Got
which
it.
is,
Got it.
Trying to get the best time, obviously.
Yep. Did you have any thought of footwear going in, running shoes versus shoes that you would typically lift in?
I saw Will Carter do this in runners, so I then threw on a pair of runners the last day I trained this at Bison. And when I got out there, I said, I'm going to wear runners. I was way more comfortable. We're doing 2.5 miles of running along with 50 clean and jerks. We're doing a lot of running, and that takes most of the time. So I'm going to wear runners. Going during the workout, I did not expect, though, to have happy feet the whole time, right? The runners, they're not very solid on the sides.
Yep.
So my feet kept jumping around, and it did cause a couple no reps because I would put the barbell overhead, and I didn't really feel the bottom of my foot, so I kept going on my toes a little bit and moving my feet, and I did get a couple no reps that were earned, right? Great calls from the judges.
Yep.
Which along with that, the judges, I did see a lot of athletes wearing runners, and just like I probably got away with a couple no reps, I think other athletes did get away with no reps as well, but it was a fine line, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is all the judges were on the same page there and letting the athletes play, and I respect that from CrossFit. I thought it was greatly judged. I accept my no reps. I came in that last round with a touch and go mindset just for pride, right? I know I was at the back of the pack, but I said, lifting's my thing. Let me go touch and go. I started doing touch and go, but my feet kept moving. Yeah. So it costed me
instability.
Yeah, it costed me the clip, right? I was trying to go out there for highlights,
Love the honesty there.
All
right, so that's event 1. That was by itself. What was it like to recover from that event? What was the game plan going into that night in terms of like just refueling and getting ready for the next day?
Dude, legs, man. I try going up the stairs. I'm limping up the stairs.
Oh, man.
At the event, I wasn't expecting that much buildup in my legs. I mean,
2.5 miles of running, which is a lot. It's more than you commonly would train.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that later on once we're done talking about these workouts. But that's a high volume, high intensity, high stress situation for you.
And that hill, right, the immediate uphill then caused most of the rest of the run to be on the slight downhill, which I think put a lot of stress into my quads. because not letting the momentum fully take me,
Right.
Due to just hyperventilating with the cadence of running.
Yep.
Right. The higher cadence, you would shorten your stride length if you did have a higher cadence, but that might, you try to be comfortable at that. And I was getting uncomfortable, so I would almost slow myself down a little bit, which caused a lot more stress in the quads.
Yep. Got that. All right, so that's event one. Next day, it's another pretty quad dominant, front half of your foot dominant workout. 5 rounds for time, once again. 100 double unders, 20 toes to bar, 10 front squats. This is not a light barbell. This was 225 for the guys, 155 for the ladies. At that level, yes, everyone's doing them unbroken for the most part, I believe. But it's by no means an easy squat. That even if you're a strong lifter, that is something that's going to make you think, make you hesitate. This is, in my opinion, the most classic CrossFit workout of the weekend. This is one that I'm going to try to put into Bryson programming, just a little lighter and maybe a little less volume. But this was a workout that, hey, if you have been CrossFitting for a long time, you've done several workouts like this before. How did your legs feel going into this day? After a night of sleep, you're a great squatter. Pretty good workout for you. But again, this is how fast can you go? What were your thoughts going in?
Legs were a little tender. I did get some assistance from the CrossFit staff on recovering my legs before I left the night before. Going into it though, big thing was mentality from having a bad workout the night before as well. And we could touch on that.
Yep.
But as per the workout, knowing legs were a little tender, 225 front squats, 50 of them. I'm not going to let that limit you, right? Like, that's just mindset. I know I could do 5 sets of 10, no brainer.
Okay.
That
makes one of us.
Yeah. I really had to mitigate on the double unders and toes to bar, just knowing the person I am and the athlete I am. Got ahead of the heat, and I got ahead of the heat one, right? I then had a great showing for my heat, got some screen time.
Yep.
Tried making a little highlight, was happy, got a little interview.
Yeah.
Post-workout.
Awesome.
Everything was all
That's
good
part
and
of
dandy.
the experience.
Yeah, everything was all good and dandy, and then fucking next heat comes up and blows my time out the water. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a little more humble in my post heat 1 win interview next time.
I'll tell you what, though. Let's talk about that. Let's get sidetracked a little bit here. Doing these in heats, I mean, in the perfect world, all 40 of you would be out on the floor at the same time, and that would be a better competition because it is undoubtedly, we talk about this at the basic level here at the gym. People that come at 4:15, which we're about to do, the 4:15 class, they can look at what everyone else did all day, and for those that get competitive, they'll come in and be like, oh, I beat this person. Well, you didn't, though, because you saw their score. And that's the way the sport is. That's the way the sport is structured. That's the way it needs to be structured. So, no, you can't really, I don't have a solution to that problem unless you didn't let anyone ever see a result from any heat prior to, which I know the Games has tried a few times. But that's something, do you think you could have pushed the gas a little further if you had someone in that heat that was beating you or right there with you or multiple guys?
Yes, and I exactly knew a guy in the heat, Jack Farlow, who's honored to be working out in the same heat as him. He won the clean and jerk last year at the Games. He's strong, right? He then went to Wadapalooza, had an amazing showing on the endurance events.
Yeah.
And I said, Jack Farlow's in my heat. This is a gymnastic, monostructural weightlifting workout. I said, I'm going to hang with him. Mm-hmm. And I was moving at a pace. I was pacing myself at the front of the heat. You get a little nervous when you do hear your name being said in the first round, because usually that means the person in the lead in the first round is bound to blow up.
Yep.
So I was really trying to mitigate the fatigue, and I felt all right. I did break stuff up a little more than I should have, right? Especially in a competition setting, right?
Yep.
Mentality is everything, right?
Yep.
You got to be willing to hurt.
Yep.
And riding that line, and when I should have been hurting a lot more, that could have gave me a couple more placings. I didn't because I was at the head of the heat.
Got it. So that's a solid event for you. Yes, humbling in that, the heats after you kind of beat your score, but still, I do think there's some pride taken in that the heat that you were in, like you crushed pretty much everyone in that group. And I think that's something, there's value in that. There's carryover to future events. Next one was one that, in my opinion, you seemed a little nervous about, just leading up to. 7 rounds for time, 10 cal echo bike, 1 legless rope climb, 10 box jump overs, 1 legless rope climb. However, I think on the final round there was not a legless, right?
So 13 total.
Yeah, okay. So 7 rounds of that, but just take out that legless rope climb on the final round. Upper, lower. Legless rope climb is probably the biggest deciding factor there. From my perspective, the one that didn't do it, I do think the cow bike, you're able to maintain RPMs on that was probably a factor as well. Yes, your cycle rate on box jump over, step down, everything. But what was your fear going to that? How did you respond?
That was the most worried workout. That was the workout I was most worried about. Not being strong at legless rope climbs, having a mindset of I'm not the best on the bike, as you could blow me out in pretty much any echo bike workout.
We'll see.
I was nervous. I just wanted to put on my best effort, whatever that may be, which I didn't have any expectation. I just wanted to do my best and just going about my business. My bike RPM was sitting around 75 to 70.
Okay.
And that was consistent, but the field was cranking way more than that. I was at the back of the heat. I was in a race with somebody at the back of the heat, went up for that last legless rope climb and just whiffed. I just got nothing but air. No.
Oh, you missed the rope?
No, I missed the board.
So you were out.
I missed the board and I was going to start running, because I had to miss it by a freaking hair.
Yeah.
So I came down and looked at the judge and he's like, no rep. And I'm like, you got me, bro. You got me.
Nice job. Nice job by that judge.
I tried, playing it off a little bit, but I got nothing but air ball and paid the price there.
Oh, man. Yeah, having to do another one of those reps. I mean, that is just sheer capacity in your upper body to get better at legless rope climbs, whether it's 1 rep at a time or multiple. I mean, that is just something. Is there a piece of advice you can give someone that really needs to work on those? Is there anything to do other than you just got to get on that rope and hammer them out?
I think it's pulling strength, training, pulling strength, lat pull downs, tempoing them,
grip strength,
strict chin ups. Just you got to get the time under tension and the volume and strength. Being strong leads that all.
Yeah. Or do it easy Muhammad does and just jump really high so you don't have to pull it once or twice.
Amen. Amen. I met James Townsend out there, the most explosive man in the sport. My man could do one pull and just right down.
Next one had a machine again. This was event 4.
The machine semifinals.
Yeah, the machine semifinals. I'm jealous.
My favorite.
400-meter row, 96-foot handstand walk, 600-meter row, 120-foot handstand walk, 800-meter row, 72-foot handstand walk. A normal handstand walk without obstacles, without turns, at this level of athlete, semifinals, games hopefuls, this to me was how fast can you row? Because pretty much everyone is unbroken on the handstand walk. There are some that are ninjas that can act like probably run on their hands faster than we can run on our feet. So that is definitely a factor. But I actually did this one when it came out, kind of did this one at Bison just to kind of get a feel. And I remember saying, as long as you can get on your hands and just walk, you need to be rowing at max effort. And I did watch this one multiple times. It's one that I'm really intrigued by just from a coaching perspective. And every now and then the camera went and watched, you could see the pace on some of these rowers, like Jason Hopper pulling like a 135, and then we saw some other guys rowing a 145. And I know there's different strengths and weaknesses with size and physical profile when it comes to a rower. But looking back on this, do you think that if you got another redo shot at this, would you have simply just pulled a lot harder and just hold on for dear life?
I tried that. So
okay. Did you crash and burn?
I crashed and burned immediately. I had one of the worst warm-ups of my life. I was sitting on the rower, pulling at a recovery pace, and my heart rate was through the roof. I was like practically hyperventilating.
Why do you think that was?
I didn't recover good the night before. The fan in the sport got the best of me. That was the night before was the teams.
Yep.
And all the individuals were going after me in Heat 1, right? Heat 2, Heat 3, Heat 4 was going, and then the females. So I, instead of prioritize my recovery, which I should have been, I went to the stands with the boys in the family section and watched all the remaining heats.
Got it.
And definitely paid the price the next day.
Okay.
Which costed me big time. I felt bad for myself immediately in that workout. I didn't have too aggressive of a pace. My pace was 400 in the 400 meters. I was rowing a row 145.
Okay.
Just to save some energy.
Yep. Get
on the hands, easy. Back in the rower, 600, pull a 142. and then try to pull 142 for that 800. Everything went sideways. Heart rate was through the roof in round 1. I get on the rower for the 600 meters, and I start off at a 150 for the first 100 meters, just like get my heart rate down.
Yeah.
It just didn't go my way. You have a fight or flight mentality, and I wanted to go back home at that point in the middle of that workout.
I hear you, man. I've been there on machines before. The machine, any machine, is not a fun place to be if you're in that mindset. Lesson learned there that no matter I mean, as an elite athlete, you are an elite athlete. I'll say it, you don't have to. The recovery component, especially as you get older, Joe, is probably going to be more important than your workout strategies on that. So I think that's a lesson learned right there, right? No matter what, no matter who's there at your semifinals next year, when you're back there, your recovery is going to take precedent over anyone because you're out there to do a job. You're not there to have fun.
Huge. I couldn't have gotten more exposed in being stubborn and not taking care of myself after a workout.
Well,
I was sitting in that family section, empty.
Yep.
No water.
Yep.
Nothing in my system.
Yep.
Just enjoying it with the boys.
I respect you for saying that out loud, and it's good that you can have that kind of reflection so soon after. Because I think sometimes in the back of your head you might know it, but you won't admit it out loud. So, and that's a sign of humility, saying stuff out loud like that. To our millions of subscribers too.
Let's go.
But here we go. I want to reverse this because this, I don't want you to get too down on this because the next event was the Joe Pierro event. And
Joe Pierro special. The reason I came, baby.
That's right.
Once events 1 and 3 went out the window, this was it. This was my moment.
So this workout was snatches. This is where you start to see oh, okay, these guys are elite. All right, this is a different level. This workout was 10-8-6-4-2 squat snatches. The weights were this: 185, 205, 225, 245, 265. The female weights: 135, 145, 155, 165, 175. Not only did you have to hit those weights, but you had to hit certain weights by certain time domains. So you had to hit the 10 snatches by 2 minutes, the 8 by the 4 minute. Basically, they gave you a bunch of 2-minute windows to get all these lifts in. And you could bank time by going fast early, but there's a lot of stress there. Very difficult lift. You're beat up by that point of the weekend. No one's fresh at this point, and these weights are really heavy. You came in 6th place, dude. Okay, I'm gonna read off some of the names that you beat in this workout.
Wait, I should have beat Dan Farlow if I was in his team. He got me by 2 seconds. I could have got a top 5, man.
5:58. So you beat Seth Stovall, Ben Smith, Luke Parker, Roman, Austin Hatfield, Spencer Panchik, Saxon Panchik, Tyler Christoffel, Jason Hopper, Travis Mayer, Marquand Jones, Taylor Self, Dre Strom. You beat all those guys in this workout. That to me is, and you had a moment there that at the end of the barbell, I was watching this one live. It was you and the kid Fernandez, and he had gotten that final snatch at 265. He had to do 2. He did one of them before you.
Oh, I had my eye on him.
You walk up to that barbell, and I'm like, all right, Joe's going to go 1 here. I didn't even think you were going to think about going for touch and go because you didn't touch and go anything, right? You did a rep at 265. He's holding it above his head, and he's holding it for an extra half second. And right there, I'm like, he's going to go for it. He brings the bar down, taps the ground, and does a touch and go 265 snatch. Catches it, gets done, beats the kid Fernandez in dramatic fashion. The stadium goes crazy. The commentators go crazy. People are talking about it on the Savant podcast. You and Colton Mertens are the 2 people in the world that people are talking about in regards to this workout. That was a moment, dude, that you are going to remember for the rest of your life. Walk us through it. What was your mindset going into it? Did you decide ahead of time you were going to try?
Walking through my mindset, well, I'll backtrack all the way. On Wednesday, I talked to Tracy, and we were talking about strength stuff, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it.
You knew ahead of time.
I put it out there.
Wow.
I did, but I didn't train it.
Called your shot.
I did not train it. I didn't train it, nor did I really put it out there. I put it out to the people in the circle that I was with.
Yep.
I put it out there to a couple of people ahead of time. But it also really depended on how the weekend went. If I did good in the earlier events, workouts 1, right, which I wanted to the run, workout 3, the legless rope climb one, which I wanted to, I probably would have put a lot more thought into touching and going. Okay. There in the moment, I had nothing to lose, right? I'm going against the former team game champ. I know exactly who he is. Yep. And I just said, dude, you got nothing to lose. You're either going to hit it or you're going to miss and you're going to wait 15 seconds and hit it anyway, right? Because I wouldn't be as happy about hitting it if that was just the lift, right? Because I've hit that before for 3 in the Wadapalooza qualifier last year. So, but the fact with all the intensity backing it to 10, the 8, the 6, and the 4, and to be able to pull that out felt really good, especially because I didn't train it. I called my shot ahead of time, and I was just like, you know what, I had a bad weekend. I'm going to make it happen now.
Yeah, your emotion after that was the strongest emotion you showed all weekend, good, bad. That publicly, I shouldn't say that because I wasn't around you, but the most emotional I saw you on camera was immediately after that. You had Andres in the stands, right? Your crew right there. What caused that eruption of emotion? Was that something deeper than you just being pumped up?
Dude, it was bad. The weekend was bad, man. I really wanted. I just wanted to put out like a good product, man, and I dropped the ball for my expectations on all the stuff I put work into all year. I go all fucking year lifting 1 time a week, just touching on snatches, just touching on clean and jerks, running, monostructural days, mixed cardio machine work, echo bike intervals, and I keep fucking shit in the bed there. So I just said, all right, dude, this is your thing. You haven't been training all year, but you gotta put out. And dude, I blew my load for workout 6 right then and there. My celebration, I don't know what took over me. I never drained so much energy in my life, and oh man, it felt so good. I didn't know I was gonna hit it. I didn't even really want to go for it. I rushed the shit out of it.
Yeah.
The thing free fall to the ground, and I just held on and fell under it, and then when the crowd erupted, I just lost control, full composure.
That's a big moment. A couple of takeaways from there. It's like that whole like nothing to lose mindset. Like how much that can do for you as a competitor is huge. Because I think a lot of us, myself included, you're out there competing and there's some fear, that you're going to lose out on something if you try a lift or if you don't truly go for it. You're afraid of failing. I think that really does control a lot of us, is that we're afraid to fail something. And you don't actually go for it. And look what happened. You kind of cut that shit out, and you just said, hey, I'm going to go for it. I do have truly nothing to lose. And your best possible result came out of that mindset.
Yeah, and to be honest, when I committed to doing it because I took an extra second. I looked over at Jorge, took an extra second, and I knew I was going for it. But after I hit one, dude, I was like, once this bar free fell to the ground, I'm like, I'm not fucking hitting it, but I'm not letting go.
Yeah.
And dude, oh man, I felt a little possessed there. That was dangerous, dude. That if there was a wall there, I would have fucking ran through it, man. I would have jumped in their arms if there wasn't a 5-foot barrier.
Yeah.
I feel bad because like there's an angle, and my first words are "suck it, bitch," and I do the and next to my boys, there's like family members there, and like they're looking at me like, yo, this dude needs help. Like this is deep. Like he's been holding this in for far too long.
Yeah, I mean, there's something in there. That's why I asked you, like, why did that reaction come up? And it's not a judgment because, again, I think you're only going to understand this if you've been in a situation even somewhat similar to that. It could be back in high school, it could be right now, it could be in your future, that the emotion is so strong and there's so much bottled up inside of you that, to me, I actually kind of love that, that the reaction, like I'm laughing about it now, but that is real emotion to me. And I think, the world that we live in right now, everyone's so afraid of really expressing themselves and how they feel and what they think because they don't want to get canceled or they don't want to offend someone because people get offended so easily now. That's just Joe Pierro having a lot of emotion bottled up from both long-term and the short-term weekend. To me, I appreciate it because it's real and I like real stuff.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of growth because like I wasn't really comfortable with myself for a while, just like trying to make everybody happy.
Yep.
But I'm over that shit now. You either like me or you don't, and I'm cool with that.
Yep.
And that was raw as it gets, man. And I think of all the celebrations in CrossFit through all the athletes, and I can't recall one of those. So I'm really trying to bring some spice into this sport.
You should try to trademark that.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to an interview from Dallin Pepper and Jason Hopper. And they said that a lot of people in this sport, they take themselves too serious, and it's a little too buttoned up. And he goes like, why not some playful trash talk? What's wrong with that? It can loosen us up. It can kind of bring some playful banter out and really expose some real true personalities that we all have deep inside of us. But, I think some people are just afraid to what their perception is in the social media world. But, you going out there and tell the world to suck it is something that's going to be on the internet.
Yeah,
forever.
sometimes it just got to be done, But yeah, even in workout one, like they described, like in the briefing, they tell us, no, you got to be professional, no like messing around and stuff. And workout one, me and Will come out elbowing each other,
I saw that.
And the first thing that came into my mind when I elbow him and shove him, I was like, dude, I don't want the judges to say something. But I knew it was him, and looking back at it, I wish I really gave him another one because, dude, that moment was hilarious.
That was a funny moment. I actually saw that live too, and like I knew that was Will, and I know that you guys have a relationship. So if I didn't know you two, I'd be like, oh man, these guys are
the first bump was definitely unknown.
Yeah.
But then when you look at your peripherals, you see what it is, and man, I really wish I laid into him. I would have put the freaking ankle out,
So now you have one workout left at this point. You're on that high, which I can't even imagine what that felt like.
On that high and a 90-minute max break between. So from stop to start, you were only given 90 minutes.
Okay, so you're not at full recovery here. 30 cal bike. So we're going back to the Echo bike for the second time, which I was surprised by. 30 cal Echo bike. 15 ring muscle ups, 72-foot double dumbbell walking lunge in a farmer carry position. Oh, by the way, the weights are 100 pounds for guys in each hand. The ladies, 70 pounds. For anyone that doesn't grasp how heavy that is, see if you could just find two of those dumbbells. Guys, find 200s. Ladies, find 270s, and just go do a farmer carry with it. And just tell me, and then understand that at the end of the weekend, after a bike, after 15 ring muscle ups, your grip is really taxed. You have to lunge it. With all eyes on you. Short workout, short recovery. Did that high from the snatch event? Did it help you, hurt you, not really impact anything going into this final event?
I'm going to forever say it hurt me, but I don't regret doing that celebration at all.
Got it.
That was raw emotion on event 5. Event 6 was a quick turnaround. I went behind to my stuff, chugged some maple syrup, and just hoped it was enough recovery and, flush my legs as well. But I definitely think there was some carryover over that. I was extremely taxed at that point. The Echo bike was smartly paced by me. But my exertion off that Echo bike, my heart rate was through the roof. I just felt like I was running on empty.
Yeah.
I then hop up onto the rings and, max rings, from somebody sitting down here, right? Oh, dude, Joe could do 24 ring muscle ups unbroken, right? But
is that your number? Is that where you're at right now?
Yeah.
24?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was 24 in my last test. So I was like, 15's automatic. It's coming. You saw me. I was just training it over the previous weekend. You were watching over my shoulder, giving me some
looking great.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yep.
And I thought I definitely in the cards. These rings, man, it looked like it was set up for an iron cross for me, bro. They were wide as they get, which I'm gonna take back into training and make sure I do not train narrow width on the rings. So just my catch was so low, and the press out, man, I literally did 9, and at that point it felt almost like a max effort, and then I hopped up for 6. And those, the back end of the 6 was basically a max effort set. Call me unprepared, call me whatever you may call it, but I was not feeling like myself at that point, and I then proceed to the lunges. Like a jerk off, I rush my hook grip, right? Hook grip is where you grab your thumb, and basically it takes a lot of stress off your grip. And when in training, I dug my freaking hands into the meat between my pointer and my thumb.
Yep.
And I really grabbed that hook grip, and it felt great in training. What do I do there? Bend over half-ass and just grab the loosest hook grip of my life. So start lunging down the field, and I'm so thrown off at the fact that I rushed that hook grip that I got a no rep because I tried lunging a little too fast, and I did a slight shuffle, and the judge called me. Great call on her. I respect that, holding the standards to the sport. Got penalized, put my walked them back. So I'm doing a farmer's carry back to my previous line, a little bonus work. Yep. Just good for the pump and the cameras. By that point, my heart rate's jacked up. I then pick them up again, start lunging. Boom. First lunge, my foot's on the damn line. No rep. Walk them right back again. So there I am You know, I'm like, at this point, I'm like, where's the damn after party? I'm out there alone. I'm about to lunge down this floor all by myself. I'm like checked in the bag. I got 40th place in this workout race. Sorry, 39th because somebody withdrew. Didn't get that last. I got 3 points. 3 points. Costly no reps. When you have 100 pounds in each hand, man, it's exerting. And, you know, costed me big time. Didn't end on a note I wanted to at all. I honestly took the loss in the middle of the workout. I was so checked out.
Yeah. Been there too. I bet full strength, if you're pursuing something, you're probably a minute faster just because of the urgency. But you didn't give up because you did the workout. But there is probably a little less urgency and a little less urgency on the semifinal workout level, but also in a class WOD on a Wednesday afternoon in June. If you don't really go, if you go for 80% of your capacity and then you go to 70%, but you're getting tired, you check out, your time is half as what it would be if you were really pursuing it. So, you can't even look at, from my perspective, you can't look at a score and be like, oh, that's what Joe scores. I bet if you really needed to and wanted to and everything was there mentally, you'd be at least a minute faster on that. I feel pretty strongly about that. Now, so we just talked about all 5 workouts and we have about 15 minutes left. And I kind of want to get into some of the mindset stuff, the stress levels, the anxiety. One thing I want to say, I don't want to make you say this, is you're a father and you have a full-time job. You're not a full-time athlete. You don't get to train morning, afternoon, and night. You basically get 1 to 2 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week, and then you have other serious responsibilities that take up a lot of stress and time, create anxiety. And that's the way your life is. That's what you have to do it. I'm sure you find yourself thinking about this all the time, but I do think that's one of the biggest disconnects between the public and an athlete that's at your level, that is a notch below a games level, but you're right there with those guys, literally. Those guys get to, and I'm not taking anything away from them, they get to train all the time, full-time athletes. Do you ever find yourself feeling sorry for yourself or creating excuses from that perspective?
No, because I've got laid off from work a couple times being a union electrician when work does get slow, and coming into the gym full time, it really starts to feel like work, and it's the biggest turnoff, man. I start quitting workouts. It starts to feel like, I'm working for free, right? And I'm just, right. It's like a rock in a hard place, yeah. I get what I want, but then when I have it, it's like,
it's not as sexy.
Yeah, it sucks. So having, honestly, the chaotic lifestyle and the balance, always going to be forever working on that balance, because obviously trying to perform at this stage is a lot of sacrifice and honestly selfish.
Yep.
And I really try to work on that balance. It's tough, man. It really is.
Yeah, I believe it. And I know that, just something as simple as running in a workout like that, or getting better at the machines, that is something that needs a lot of time. You can't just go run once a week and expect to get on the level of these guys as runners, or bike once a week. I mean, you're already at the elite level of strength, all right? Do you look at your training from here on out for the next year and say, hey, I would gladly give 5% of my snatch ability and clean and jerk ability if I could get 20% better at some of the other things? Do you think about it? Is it too early to think about that? Do you need to talk to your coach about it?
There isn't a doubt that I told myself that last year. I really don't know. I'm very confused in that sense, because I only lifted 1 day a week, dude.
Yeah.
Until these
Which is
workouts came out.
that you still did this.
Dude, I did lifting on Friday afternoon for an hour.
Yeah.
And every other day was either monostructural, cardio, gymnastics development, and it's very confusing at this point. And that really makes me want to throw it over to, in the last 2 weeks before going into competition, right? I started working 12-hour days. I started working 10-hour days. Dude, I haven't done that in 2 years. And then, just so I could try to keep a job and keep income coming for the family.
Right.
I get hit with all these extra hours at work. So I'm sure that had to do with it as well. But
yep.
It's just everybody's got their own stressors, and everybody's got their own battles. And it's an experience that leaves me confused, but I do have some sort of things to lean into on why it may have happened. And honestly, maybe the field just got better than me, though. So I'm just gonna keep being stubborn, come back, and we'll figure it out next year. I'll be back.
Yeah, you'll be back. Yeah, and I think that's a big part of what we always tell ourselves, what we tell people as coaches is, are you doing everything you can? If the answer is yes, right, or at least close to it, without sacrificing every other living being in your life, including your children, right? Then you really have nothing to be upset about. There's nothing wrong with looking at your plan, your plan of attack over the past year. Like, all right, I want to pursue this path. I want to change this up. I want to try to get better at this. I want to make this a focus. But you put the time and you put the effort in it, and I just hope that whatever result you wanted out of the weekend and what ended up happening, I hope there's no level of real disappointment in yourself. Being disappointed in a result, that's going to happen for the rest of your life until you win the CrossFit Games, all right? But being disappointed in the process, that's a different level of disappointment that I think that you can circle back and try to regroup on. But I think your process has been admirable from afar. From my perspective, I've admired what your process is, and I'm looking forward to what you do for the next year. Do you want to touch on any of the any other factors or components, variables to, like, do you have a training partner? Do you have guys that can push you, that you can push? Because that's a big part of this as well, is that you need to kind of get yourself in a competitive scene more than once or twice a year. Is there any thought about that?
Yeah, I try to train with people on the weekends. Every other weekend, I'll say, depending on the time of year, right? Closer to competition, it's way more sport, right? Way more sport in CrossFit. Farther away from competition, it's way more broken down, right? It's way more aerobic-based development. It's way more gymnastics progressions, and I'm in my own route. I'm trying to improve my weaknesses here, right?
Right.
The people I do train with, they're extremely fit, but they're not getting sixth place on the snatch, right? Or when the lift comes up.
That's true.
In that sense, and I try to stay in my lane and do my, what it may be, 8-week cycle, 6-week cycle, whatever it may be, and just try to take my wins along with that.
Do you want to give your coach a shout out?
Shout out to Sean Neefsey at a 42 Fitness.
How long you been with him?
It's been 5 going on to 6 years, man.
That's awesome.
I trust him, but I don't even look into, like, I don't even question him, right. Like, we just trust the process.
That's huge. That's awesome.
I've been seeking progress every year, and I did want a better result at this semifinal.
And I'm sure he did too.
Yeah, but knowing this field and just looking at it from a fan of the sport, I think it's the deepest field, man. Yeah. I think really do.
Last thing, if you, so I have some athletes here at this gym, masters competitors. I have a couple young guys as well that have very high aspirations. Don't want to single them out right now because I don't have their permission to share that publicly, but there are some people in this gym that have the highest of high aspirations. And I want you to try, if they were sitting in front of you right now, and or if Joe Pierro from 2012 or 2013, that time I beat you at CrossFit Hoboken, was sitting right in front of
I'll never forget, Dave. You're my hero.
That's like my claim to fame, which is 10 years ago. It's like I'm like that guy that talks about his high school batting average. Anyway.
Do you still got it, baby?
If Joe was from 2013 was sitting here, and I have a couple other competitors with the highest of high aspirations, what would you like to close with in terms of just kind of advice, anecdotal advice, guidance on what to approach physically, mentally, anything, really?
You gotta, I would definitely track your journey and take your wins. It's so tough getting caught up in the moment and comparing yourself to others throughout the year with where you're at, but you have to compare to yourself and keep making progress every week on your journey, right? Record a video, right? Compare to that video a year from now. Oh shit, dude, I added 40 pounds on my back squat and let's say, a year. That's huge, right? You do that for 2 years, that's 80 pounds. That's your journey, right? Meanwhile, somebody else might have got 100 pounds in 1 year, but you're moving that needle in that right direction. And right, there's 3 components to this: gymnastics, weightlifting, cardio, right? CrossFit is an endurance sport with strong people in it. So we got to get strong, number 1. Right, we got to get our aerobic base and we got to get our muscle endurance good. Getting strong takes the longest, in my opinion.
Yep.
Right, I took 3 freaking years with Sean of just lifting front squat cycle after front squat cycle, deadlift cycle after deadlift cycle, doing the shit I suck at, sitting on the echo bike for hours at a time. I used to go to local competitions and get blown out on machines.
Yep.
That's why you beat me in every fucking comp you've ever done, dude, because I can't hang on a machine. 908 exposes me every damn year, right? I put so much time into it that I still might not be the best at the local level.
Yeah.
But my gymnastics and strength has then improved way more, and my strength, I can't control it. Like, I don't know where the ceiling is, dude, and it pisses me off because I just want that output on endurance or monostructural machines and gymnastics. So, what's my lowest hanging fruit here to get better? It is sacrifice some strength, gain some, foundational, restart.
Yep. No, while you get your thoughts back, let me say this, because coming from someone that's never been strong competitively, and I do have some ability on machines and muscle endurance, right? The strength takes you further than being good on a machine and being good at muscle endurance. So if you're out there and this is something you want to pursue, whether it's on the masters level or the open division level, okay, the strength is going to take you further. So if I was sitting in front, if 2012 Dave was sitting here right now, I would say do less WODs and do more strength work.
I agree.
And that will never stop. And that's, I don't want to call it a regret, because I think everything is kind of, as a coach now, especially, like, what can I do to help out a kid like Alex, right? Who is already strong, but he's not strong enough. He's not strong enough yet to be at that level. He has the potential to be, but that's going to, like, everyone, I've had a few people ask me, why is he lifting so much if he's already good at it? I'm like, you guys don't know what good is. Yeah. He needs to get stronger. And I think that can be applied to anyone out there, because unless you're going to come in 6th place at a snatch event, with, like Joe Pierro just did at the East semifinal, you have strength work to do, period.
If you can't lift it, you're just looking at it.
Yeah.
And if you're just looking at it, you're not doing any fucking work. And CrossFit's an endurance sport, right? Your goal's to do the most amount of work, give it in the allotted time.
Yeah. No, that's a great way of putting it. I like ending with that. If you're not gonna lift it, you're gonna look at it. If you're not looking at it, you're not getting any work done.
Damn right.
So, Joe, thanks again, man. Definitely want to just kind of keep tabs on you. Maybe we'll have you come on throughout the year, because I think you have a unique perspective. You've grown a lot, humility-wise, over the past 5 to 10 years that I've known you. You're still a young buck. I think your best days are still ahead of you, and I'm excited to see where you go with your next step in your journey. And hopefully we'll have you on again at some point.
100%. I'll be thankful to come back. I've been working on my podcast game. Rules we're trying not to say, and go off on a freaking tangent, which I think I did a couple times. But
that's what makes it fun.
I do think we got some training to do in the near future, because I got to be more of an athlete that you are, which is one of the best athletes in the world on machines. That I would say that to anybody. I'll take you over pretty much 99.999% of the population, besides the people at the East semifinal.
that can do everything else as well.
Yeah, but dude, you got the hay in the barn. I'll give you some strength if you give me some cardio, bro, and
take that trade.
We'll make a deal. I don't know how the exchange works, but we'll figure it out.
Good.
Behind the scenes.
We got to get no out of him right at the end there. So let's head that way.
All right, baby.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Deuces.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.